Nearly 5 years ago, Audi introduced a new flagship luxury SUV to their portfolio in America called the Q8. Now, even though the Q8 is slightly smaller versus the three-row Audi Q7, Audi positions this vehicle as a more luxurious and more expensive performance-oriented model, which is why back in 2020, we saw the first ever RS version of the Q8. This vehicle, remember, shares the same MLB architecture that also underpins the Lamborghini Urus and Porsche Cayenne. And when you have an RS badge in front of the Q8, what that means is you have the company's high-output 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 delivering nearly 600 horsepower with standard quattro all-wheel drive. So as you can see this week, we are behind the wheel of this beautifully specced out Dragon Orange 2023 RS Q8. And the big question I want to answer, if you guys have roughly 6 figures to spend on a luxury high-performance SUV, how does the brand new 2023 Audi RS Q8 stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the exterior styling of this very orange Audi RS Q8, let me go ahead and pop the hood and remind you guys what's powering this thing. Now, Audi offers a choice of 3 different engines here in the US. This is the most powerful engine that you can get in the Q8 today. And underneath this big plastic cover with the red accents, you're going to find the company's corporate 4-liter twin-turbocharged direct injection V8. It's a double overhead cam V8, and it's an engine that's shared with other Audi, other Porsche, Lamborghini, and Bentley products. In this vehicle, it has around 35 pounds of boost pressure to produce 591 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you're keeping score of something like the Audi SQ8, this has about 91 more horsepower. However, it does have a little bit less horsepower, about 50 to 60 horsepower less versus the Lamborghini and Porsche Turbo GT versions of their iterations. Now, it all goes out through an 8-speed ZF-sourced automatic transmission, and this vehicle comes standard with quattro all-wheel drive. My tester also has the optional sport rear differential, so it's a limited slip rear diff. And then in terms of the fuel economy, this is rated at 13 in the city, 20 on the highway. Please be sure to put premium gas in. It has about a 22-gallon fuel tank. You're looking at around 350 miles of range on a full tank. Now, in terms of performance, Audi claims 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. It's probably conservative. We'll test it out when we get it out on the road with our equipment. It has a top speed of around 190 miles an hour with the optional package that my tester has that includes the sport differential. And the vehicle is an SUV, so it'll tow a maximum of 7,700 pounds. And as this vehicle sits, it weighs in at just over 5,400 pounds. But let's go ahead and close up the hood and talk about the exterior styling. Now, I will say that Audi just showed off a revised 2024 Q8 and SQ8. We still don't have what the RS Q8 version will look. We're not sure if that'll be a revision for 2024 or 2025, but you can see this vehicle still has a very distinctive look to it, especially when you get it in the right color. This Dragon Orange is $650 extra. You can see it has very bright, vibrant colors in it. You can see the standard full matrix design LED headlights are included on this trim. You have a sequential LED turn signal, LED low and high beams. These are also the laser light headlights. You can see there's the all-weather lights that are down here. And then down here you can see there's also some functional openings. My tester has what Audi's calling the black mask, or it's part of the black optics package, which blacks out the rings, blacks out the single frame grille. You can see your RS Q8 badge there is also blacked out. You have your radar sensor for the adaptive cruise along with more radar there to the side. But overall, let me know what you guys think of the styling. With this Dragon Orange, I love all the black accents. You can again go for silver accents if you don't go for the black optics package, but I think it gives the car a very aggressive but still understated look, although this color definitely makes it stand out in a very good way. Now, moving around to the side profile, you can see this is a mid-size SUV, and its proportions certainly show that. It's also supposed to be more like a coupe-like SUV, but it rides on a 117.9-inch wheelbase. The overall length is just over 197 inches long, so this is a little bit longer versus the wagon version of this car, which is the RS6 Avant. I tested that earlier this year. I personally prefer the look of the RS6 more, but I have to say, if you guys prefer an SUV, obviously Audi certainly offers that with the RS Q8. Now, looking at the wheels, you can see these are the beautiful black finished 23-inch wheels. So you can see it's riding on a 295 by 35 ZR20 tire. It's a Continental Conti Pro Contact 6 tire, so it's a summer tire. And then you can see my tester is missing the carbon ceramic brakes, but you do have a 16.5-inch rotor at the front, clamped down by 10 piston calipers. So you can see it's ventilated. You can option up for the carbon carbon ceramics if you like. The rear brakes are also 15.4 inches. These are one of the biggest brakes you're gonna find in production today. And then this car also comes standard with an adaptive air suspension where you can raise and lower the vehicle. I like how the wheel arch trim is also painted. It gives more of it it gives it that more full paint finish look to it. And then with the black optics package, you can see the mirrors here are blacked out. They're power folding with integrated turn signal. The roof rails are also blacked out. You have a panoramic sunroof, which is nice. The window trim here is blacked out. So that's all part of the black optics package. If you guys like that, I highly recommend it. Now looking at the rear, you can see it has that swoopy coupe SUV look. And remember, this car, you could essentially think of it as a cheaper version of the Lamborghini Urus. Now it does have less power, it doesn't have the Lambo badge, but it's still a really elegant, but also sporty and understated looking car. I love the design of the rear taillights where it has that same kind of matrix design LED where it's a sequential LED turn signal. It's got that signature full light blade. It has that black bar going across the rear with the black badges. And then you can see there is a subtle rear spoiler here with the rear window wiper. And then down here you can see the RS versions have, instead of the quad outlet exhaust on the SQ8, you just have a dual oval type exhaust with the big black round tips, which is part of the black optics package. This is a 4-liter twin turbo V8. So let's go ahead and fire it up. You can hear how it sounds. And that engine, as you guys hear, is very muted, but also very muscle car-like, but not super obnoxious like what you'd hear from an American muscle car. It's a German muscle car. Now, looking at the cargo capacity, this is a midsize SUV, and it certainly shows in the space. This has a very, very usable 30.6 cubic feet of storage space with the seats up. There's no third row in this vehicle. You have to go to a Q7 if you guys want the third row, but you can see it's well finished. Underneath here, you can see there's a well finished area. You have a, it looks like a fix-a-flat kit and an air compressor, so no spare tire. And then you also have a nice aluminum kick plate here for the cargo area. You can also raise and lower the suspension from back here from a push of a button. And if you lower down the second row seats, it expands the cargo to just over 60 cubic feet, which is actually matching that of the RS6 Avant, the wagon version, essentially, with this same engine. So you don't really lose any practicality. You get the same practicality whether you go for the SUV or you go for the wagon. So the exterior of the RS Q8 is certainly very distinctive, but you're going to be spending most of your time inside the vehicle, and this is still an Audi, so it's a luxury car. So let's go ahead and take a look at the interior and see some of the changes that Audi has made. Now, first of all, here's the key fob for the vehicle. You can see this is Audi's corporate intelligent access key with your usual buttons for unlock, or for lock, unlock, the remote trunk operation, the power liftgate, and there's also a panic feature. It even says RS on the back of the key fob to remind you that you do have the special Audi product. But if you keep the key fob on you, you can see the door handle is a traditional style. If you just touch that little portion there, that will lock the door for you. It'll power fold the mirrors. And then if you want to touch the back of the door handle, that unlocks the door for you. There is no auto walk-away lock feature. Audi doesn't offer that. And I don't know if you can use your phone as the key. That's something that, again, could be reserved for Audi owners, which I don't have access to. Now you can see here, my Tester has the sport bucket seats with the diamond quilting. This is, again, the standard black seats that you get with the RS badging and the diamond quilting. These seats are heated and ventilated, and they also have a massage function because my Tester has a luxury package that throws in the massage. The leather feels really high quality. The seats adjust in, I believe, 14 different ways. And you also have a two-person memory function on the passenger, or on the driver, and on the passenger side. The massage function also works really well. The heated and cooled seat function works well, and these seats look fantastic. But I personally would go for a different color seats. Audi tends to be a little bit more limited in terms of seat colors. You can get like a brown interior and like a gray interior, but it's not always available with all the certain color combinations, or especially if you want like the massaging seat option. Audi typically limits you to a black interior if you guys want like a cooled seat option, for example. Now, you can see the door panel has a beautiful leather material here where it's full stitched leather with real stitching. You have genuine carbon fiber, real aluminum trim, high quality buttons and knobs, especially with the window controls, which are one-touch power. You have a nice ultra suede here on the actual door panel. You have a nice padded stitched armrest, and then down here you can see it's also padded with some nice storage. My Tester also has, for $5,000, the Bang & Olufsen stereo, which has the tweeter speakers that pop out from the dash. It's worth every penny if you guys are an audiophile, but overall you can see the interior feels a little bit austere. It's a little dark, but it does have a high quality feel, and it smells really nice when you get into this cabin. Now getting in, this definitely has that higher seating position that people prefer over something like the RS6 Avant, the wagon. As I get in and shut the door Has a nice solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built on the same MLB Evo architecture. My tester also has a soft closed door because it's part of the executive package. And then when you get in, you can see the tech is the usual stuff from Audi that you pretty much expect. Start stop button is down here by the shifter. When you push that button, you can hear the engine fires up in a less traditional way because it's a mild hybrid. It has that 48 volt mild hybrid system, which is great for improving the start-stop tech features. So it also can help improve the fuel efficiency in traffic conditions. And you can see the dashboard here has a nice, beautiful, full stitched leather with genuine stitching. You have a heads-up display that's included as part of the executive package. You guys saw the tweeter speakers pop out from the dash when the vehicle actually turns on. You have a power tilt telescoping steering wheel. The steering wheel itself, I do think it's a big steering wheel. I'm surprised it's also not a flat bottom design. I think you can also get a sports steering wheel that has like Alcantara, but I much prefer this. You have paddles on the wheel, which the paddles themselves, they feel a little bit cheap and plasticky. Which is a little bit of annoyance considering the price, but you can see there's piano black plastic trim. You have the Audi virtual cockpit display here, which you can kind of adjust the way that looks. You can go to your phone display, you can go to a map display, we can show Google Maps right there, or you can also go to a sport display. If you push the RS button, you can see it puts it into a sport display, which you can also customize in the settings if you guys want. The engine has a low red line, but man, does that sound good. Actually, I want to see if I put it into neutral. I can't actually get it to rev higher than that. It's got a 4,000 RPM soft limiter, which is kind of annoying. It also, as you guys saw, has auto start stop. Over here, you can see this has the dual displays that Audis are known for. You have a 10.1 inch display here, an 8.8 inch display here. You have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. This hasn't really changed over the years. Audi, I suspect, is working on a new interface, but this is definitely still works really well. You can see it has embedded GPS where you can put it in Google Maps, although the screen is starting to look a little bit small compared to the competitors from BMW and from Mercedes, for example. So if you guys prefer something a little more traditional looking, although some of you don't really like the way the dual screen looks, which I kind of agree that the dual screen is not necessary, but Audi puts your climate controls down here where you can adjust also your heads-up display. You can turn on your heated and cooled seats, and if you push a little button here on the seat, you can turn on the massaging seat function, which you can see there's so many different, like 8 different levels of massage. You have 3 different intensities. You can also go to the passenger side. You can also change the seat balance and whatnot. You can also adjust the ambient lighting in this vehicle, which, by the way, Audi does phenomenal ambient lighting. It just looks really intricate, but also it's not super showy like what you get in like a Mercedes, which tends to look like a Vegas nightclub. You can see down here is your drive mode selector. You can cycle between an off-road, all-road, comfort, auto dynamic, and then there's also the RS1 and RS2 modes. That's where you're going to access the launch control. And then when you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your backup camera, which offers a top-down full 360 view, and you also have this beautiful 3D perimeter scan where you can literally scan around the vehicle. This is among the best in the industry. The screen is just looking a little bit small, but the graphics and the resolution also look good, so can't really complain there. You have a shifter here that controls the 8-speed auto. You can see there's a trigger. You push that, push it forward to go to reverse, kick it back to go to drive, push the P to go to park. You also have electronic parking brake over here. Cup holders over here. You have a volume knob, and you can also turn on and off the Audi safe, drive safe stuff, the driver assistance tech. You have more beautiful carbon fiber trim, which is real, and then you can open this up. You have your wireless phone charging pad in there, and then a little bit of storage, although it's a little bit of a shallow storage area. You do have 2 USB charging ports, USB-C charging ports. This also will slide forward and adjust, which is a nice padded center console armrest. And then I mentioned earlier, the seats are very comfortable and supportive, and I love the fact that my tester has the massaging seats. Now, opening up the glove box, you can see it's damped, it's lined with felt, it's huge, it offers a ton of storage, which is nice. You have a suede Alcantara on the headliner, which is, I believe, optional. And then you can see here a big panoramic roof, which has a power retractable shade. You can also open this up if you guys want to let in some fresh air. You can also tilt it open, which is great. It only opens up over the front seats, but it lets in a lot of light, which is perfect. But overall, as you can see, the front seat area is filled with all the tech that you could want, although it is starting to get a little bit dated. It also has impeccable build quality. It feels really comfortable. You can see out of it really well. And overall, I think most people are going to be quite happy with the way this interior feels. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat, because the RS Q8 is a midsize SUV with tons of legroom in the back. And you can see when I open up the door back here, you have just over 40 inches of legroom. 40 inches of legroom puts it near the top of the class. This vehicle has also about 3 inches more legroom versus what you find in the RS6 Avant, which is the wagon version, as you guys know. know. These seats, they fold down in a 60/40 configuration, I believe, and you also have the ability to recline the seat through that lever over there. Back here you can see you still have the same beautiful real leather stitching, leather, Alcantara, carbon fiber, and you also have the power retractable sunshades. This is standard equipment for 2023. It really, again, turns the back seat into a more luxurious environment. Now getting back here, this is where I'd have the seat to drive, and you can see once I'm back here, there's just a ton of space for full-size adults. I can stretch out really comfortably. I can cross my legs. There is a hump here that intrudes on the middle passenger, but you also have a quad zone climate control. I don't have, for some reason, the vehicle shut itself off, but there's heated seats back here and a quad zone. So each passenger side area has its own climate function, which let me just quickly turn the car on so I can show you guys that. And there it is right there. So you can see there's heated seats, but no cooled seats. And you have your quad zone climate. You have rear seat air vents. You have 2 more USB charging ports down here and a 12-volt power outlet. You have storage cubbies over here in each of the seat backs. And then you can see here, this seat here gives you the ability to fold this armrest down to give you 2 cup holders. And then, like I said earlier, you can also kind of recline the seat a little bit, or you can kind of fold it down. And it looks like you can actually slide the seat forward and back. So if you want, you can slide the seat forward and back and increase the legroom or increase the cargo capacity. So overall, if you're looking for a big back seat, I believe the RS Q8 definitely has one of the biggest back seats in this mid-size luxury SUV class. So here we are behind the wheel of the baddest performance SUV in Audi's arsenal, the RS Q8. And you guys know the Q8 is supposed to be Audi's flagship SUV, even though it's technically not as big as the Q7. The RS version essentially takes the wick, or turns the wick up on that 4-liter V8. So I had a chance to drive the SQ8 about 2 years ago, and then we experienced this powertrain in the RS6 Avant, which I have to say, earlier this year when I drove that vehicle, it was my most favorite vehicle that I drove all year long. And that's still the case today, even though I've been driving a lot of really fun cars. But regardless, we have nearly 600 horsepower, 591 horsepower with an 8-speed auto with the company's Quattro all-wheel drive with a sport differential. Audi claims 0 to 60 times are 3.7 seconds for this model, which I suspect are conservative. I got like 3.1 in the RS Q8 or in the RS6 Avant. So that vehicle was lighter by about 400 pounds. So I expect this car to not be quite as fast, but let's go ahead and see what we can get. We're in RS2. Which means we should be able to launch it when we activate the launch control. We got to build the boost up. Ooh! Oh my God, 3.84 seconds. Now it actually kind of struggled a little bit for grip. I felt the front tires lose a little traction, which is why that 3.8 second time is probably a little slow. But when you build the boost up and it actually will say launch control in the instrument cluster, this thing takes off like a rocket ship. And that's because of the all-wheel drive system. We are on these Pirelli P0 summer tires and it's a little chilly outside. It's like in the 55 degree range. But regardless, this thing will still take off like crazy, even though it's a little chilly outside. And the sound of that V8 is just phenomenal. I do love the noise this thing makes. It just has a nice understated like muscle car like growl, but it's also not quite as ostentatious as like an American muscle car. It's a German muscle car. But let's try it again here really quick. We'll brake torque it, build the boost. Oh God. It's brutal, 3.86 there. That's with it more going slightly uphill. I'll try it again further up down the road, but it is a little tough when it initially takes off because even though I have it in RS2 mode with the stability control off, it is still kind of cutting the power a little bit when the front tires spin. And that just shows you how these really fast vehicles are just traction limited. Even though, you know, even if you have all-wheel drive, if this car didn't have summer tires on it and they're a little cold, we should be able to dip into, I would say, the 3.5 second mark. But overall, this thing is just incredible how fast it is. It just feels super sporty. It feels refined. It feels really, really well made as well. And you also don't get a sense that they're driving around a vehicle that weighs almost 5,500 pounds. Audi, for some reason, they've done a really good job at just getting rid of the weight, making this thing feel not quite as big and as heavy as you expect. Now, I will say that compared to the RS6 Avant, I much prefer the feel of the RS6. That car is a wagon. It sits lower. It feels lighter a little bit than this. And it feels sportier because, again, it is a wagon and it's about the same price. So my money personally would go to the RS6 Avant, but for those of you who must have the SUV, seating position, this technically does also have more rear seat legroom, but I have to say, it is still a fabulous driving vehicle. Remember, this car shares a platform with the Lamborghini Urus, a Porsche Cayenne, a Bentley Bentayga. I mean, the Porsche and the Lambo are going to be the most sportiest driving of the vehicles in the MLB family. But with that sport differential, you can essentially put your foot down. It'll act like a limited slip rear. You can hear that 8-speed just bangs off these quick shifts. I mean, it feels like a dual clutch at times, but it gives you the smoothness of an automatic when you're in traffic. So that 8-speed, I think, is the best partner for a vehicle like this. It really just puts the engine in the meat of the power band. It feels so unbelievably quick. And I think that's the reason why so many people love these RS performance vehicles. They just feel like so crazy when you're accelerating. But let's try it here one more time and see if we can get a better launch this time. We'll brake torque it again. Oh, that's much better right there. Oh, 3.38 there. There we go. No wheel spin this time, and that literally gives me tunnel vision. Oh my God. So it's only about 0.2 seconds slower than the RS6 Avant in a vehicle that weighs, again, 400 pounds heavier. So that performance is just unbelievable. The Germans tend to always be conservative with their numbers. Oh, listen to that sound. It literally makes the burbles and the pops and the crackles. I love it. I absolutely love it. And remember, I drove the SQ8 version of this powertrain. Now, sadly, 2 years ago, I didn't have my 0 to 60 timing box, so I couldn't tell you what I got 0 to 60 wise in that vehicle, but it also felt pretty fast. This essentially just has an extra 100 horsepower almost, so it takes it to the next level. But you know what? Let's switch it out of the RS mode. Let's just go into its automatic setting. And this is where the suspension will raise back up, the adaptive dampers will get a little bit softer, the exhaust will get a little bit quieter, the transmission will shift a little bit smoother, and this is where the RSQ8, even though we're on these big fat 23-inch wheels, has an unbelievably smooth ride quality thanks to the adaptive dampers and the air suspension. It just floats, it just glides over bumps, the exhaust gets quiet so it feels like a luxury SUV again. There's very little road and wind noise. You do hear a little bit of a bark from the engine when you put your foot down, but if you want to drive this vehicle like a luxury car, you can, and it has that dual personality. I mean, that's the whole reason why you paid so much money for a vehicle like this, because you have that dual personality. You have the good ride quality, you have the sportiness, you have the comfortable seats. I'm sitting here getting a massage, and the seats, they hug you in place really nicely, but they also just feel really comfortable at the same time, and the massage function works extremely well. I highly recommend that luxury package for additional $1,500. I believe that this car charges you extra for the luxury package. And then in terms of the visibility, I can see out of the front, the side, the rear very well. I wish Audi would offer a digital camera rearview mirror. Sadly, they don't. That's something that the Germans have been kind of straying away from. But overall visibility is good considering this is a coupe-ified SUV, coupe sort of SUV, but it still has great visibility. Now, in terms of driver assistance, this has the Audi Drive Assistance package, so it has adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, traffic jam assist. It doesn't have their hands-free driving tech in it yet because it's not quite legal in the US. Audi is still kind of testing that in beta. But let's go ahead and quickly talk about the fuel economy. In my week's worth of testing, I averaged just under 15 mpg, which 14.8 is perfectly acceptable. It's kind of a little bit less versus what the EPA says at 16. On the highway, if you guys drive it in like auto mode and you drive it very conservatively, I did get it to about 22 mpg, which is better than the 20 that this car is rated at. It'll do around 350-ish miles on a full tank thanks to a massive 22-gallon fuel tank. Although, again, it's a big tank and it does, again, require premium gas because this is a big twin-turbo V8 with a mild hybrid system, which means the start-stop is also very smooth. So overall, I mean, for a vehicle that has a six-figure price tag like this, it feels expensive. It feels well-made. It feels so incredibly well-rounded. It has that dual personality. I'm just not entirely sure I would go with the RSQ8. I would personally, in the Audi family, I would go with the RS6 Avant. Remember, Audi now introduced a performance version of the RS6 Avant for 2024 that has 621 horsepower. They are working on a refreshed version of the RSQ8 for 2024 or 2025. They've shown a refreshed version on the Q8 and SQ8, and I suspect Audi's going to put the higher tuned 4-liter in the RSQ8 Performance, which will have over 620 horsepower. But overall, if you guys can't wait for that and you need something now, obviously 0 to 60 in under 3.5 seconds is certainly nothing to sneeze at. So if you guys are one of the lucky few who have well over 6 figures to spend on something like this, I have to say the 2023 Audi RSQ8 is definitely one of the best picks out there, especially if you guys prefer something that is a slightly more understated versus a lot of its other German rivals. As you can see, performance for this model is very impressive. 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. Basically is going to match or beat a lot of the competitors out there. Remember, if you're looking for something like this, you're comparing it also to a BMW X6M competition or Mercedes-Benz or Mercedes-AMG GLE 63S. And then of course, there's also the Lamborghini and Porsche versions of this SUV, which are considerably more expensive. The overall driving dynamics of this car also are very world-class. You guys saw it has a comfortable ride quality when you switch it into its comfort setting. Yet when you put it into its dynamic setting, this thing feels like essentially a tall sports sedan. That's kind of the point of these big SUVs. The back seat is also cavernous. The trunk capacity is also very usable. And the fuel efficiency is not great in the city, but if you guys drive conservatively on the highway, this thing should get well over 20 mpg, which is also very impressive considering the fact that this has nearly 600 horsepower. I mean, obviously in terms of gripes, I find very few gripes other than the fact that this car is pretty expensive. Although if you look at it from, other angles in the Volkswagen umbrella, so if you compare this car to like the Porsche Cayenne Turbo, which you can't buy one for 2024 just yet, or Lamborghini Urus, the Audi is significantly less expensive. It's like $100,000 less than the Lamborghini, but it's also like $80,000 less than the Porsche version. Now keep in mind, that's a Porsche and a Lamborghini, and they do have more power, but this car, as you guys saw, is certainly no slouch. It's still quick enough for most people. You can still get it in some very bright, vibrant colors to help it stand out, or you can go for a more understated look if you guys prefer that. And if you guys are looking to get your hands on the RS Q8 version, this car essentially starts at $125,800. So it's about the same price as the wagon version, the RS6 Avant. Personally, I would rather go for the wagon. Keep in mind also, this is the most expensive version of the RS or the Q8. A base Q8 starts at around 72 grand, about 95 grand for an SQ8, and about 125 grand for the RS Q8. Now my tester here has the executive package, the sport package, the color, the Bang & Olufsen stereo with destination. My tester here is just over $140,000, which I know 140 grand is a lot, but if you option in a BMW equivalent or a Mercedes equivalent, they are also going to be around $140,000. And if you guys are looking at a Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT Coupe, which is technically the only car you can compare it to now since Porsche doesn't offer the turbo, that's going to start at around $180,000, and you're really looking over 200 grand for the Porsche. So if you look at it from that angle, this car kind of becomes a bargain, but it's also priced the same as its other German rivals from BMW or Mercedes. So really, there's no wrong answer to choose. If you guys like the Audi, you like the styling, you like the luxury, you like the technology, and there's a reason why the Audi RS Q8 is certainly considered the halo of the Audi family in their SUV portfolio. It's certainly worth a look if you guys have well over 6 figures to spend. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2023 Audi RS Q8. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.